Dear aspirants, welcome back. Today we are continuing our journey into the models and the theories of the mass communication. This time we will explore four powerful concepts that explain how media affects individuals and society: gatekeeping theory, dependency theory, diffusion of innovation, and cognitive dissonance theory. These theories don't just focus on the how messages are sent and received, but also dig deeper into media influence, decision making, and behavioral changes. So let's get started. First, we will discuss gatekeeping theories, which was developed in the 1950, which was introduced by the Kurt Lewin. The gatekeeping theory explains how information flows through media channels and how certain messages are filtered before reaching the audiences. The theory highlights the role of gatekeepers, editors, producers, and journalists who control the flow of information. Now we will learn the key concepts in the gatekeeping, that gatekeepers, individuals or organizations that decides what news gets published and what doesn't. Selection process. Editors and journalists select stories based on relevance, audience interest, and organizational policies. Filtering and framing. Gatekeepers not only select news but also shape its presentations to fit narratives. For example, think of a newsroom editor deciding which stories to feature on the front page. They filter through hundreds of reports, prioritizing those with high impact such as elections or natural disasters. Practical applications. Explain media bias and agenda setting, showing how media influences what the public thinks about. Relevant for journalism studies and content moderation in social media. Now, limitations, that it doesn't account for audience feedback in the modern communication systems where users can comment and share content freely. Overlooks the impact of the social media algorithms, which now act as gatekeepers. Now the second theories, which is dependency theories, which was developed in the 1976 and it was proposed by Sandra Ball Rockis and the Melvin DeFilio. Dependency theories examines how audiences rely on media for information, entertainment, and decision making in their daily lives. It highlights that the people become dependent on media, especially during crisis or major events. Now, the core principles of dependency theories are: first, media as a resource. Media serves as a primary source of information, shaping public knowledge and attitudes. Second, power dynamics, that people who lack direct experience depend heavily on the media interpretations. Next, that is situational dependence, that media dependence increase during disasters, elections, or pandemics where people seek timely updates. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, people relied on news channels, websites, and the social media for updates, guidelines, and the vaccination information. Now, what are the practical applications that the useful in the media effects studies to analyze how information shapes the opinions? It explains the relationship between media and public trust, especially in the times of the crisis. Now look on the limitations of these theories, that it focuses mostly on traditional media, ignoring the interactive nature of the digital platforms, doesn't consider how audience escapism and media literacy affect dependence. Now we will look on the diffusion of innovation theories, which was developed in the 1962. It was developed by Everett M. Rogers. This theory explains how new ideas, new technologies, and the information spread through the society. It identifies the stages and categories of the adopters who influence the adoption process. Key stages of the adoptions are: the first, that is knowledge, which is awareness of the innovations. Second, that is persuasion, that is developing interest and evaluating its benefits. Next, that is decision, accepting or rejecting the innovation. Next, that is implementation, trying out the innovation. And next, that is confirmation, which is continued use or rejections based on results. Categories of adopters are also there, that is innovators, risk takers who adopt ideas early adopters, who influential leaders are there who test the ideas. Early majority, people who adopt ideas once proven useful. late majority, skeptics who adopt after most others have, laggards, traditionalists who resist change. For example, the launch of smartphones started with innovators testing them, followed by early adopters promoting their benefits, and later the early majority purchasing them after reviews. Now, practical applications, it helps marketers plan products launches and campaigns. Useful for understanding technology adoption such as social media platforms or e-learning tools. Now look on the limitations, that it ignores economic barriers that prevent the adoption. It assumes all innovations lead to the positive outcomes, overlooking the resistance to change. Now we will talk on the cognitive dissonance theories, which was developed in the 1957. It was proposed by Leon Festinger. Cognitive dissonance focuses on how people experience psychological discomfort when their beliefs, values, or actions conflict. It explains how people try to reduce discomfort by changing the attitudes or the behaviors. Now look on the core concepts of this theory, that dissonance, a mental conflict caused by the contradictory thoughts or actions. Motivations to reduce dissonance, which means that the people seek consistency and may change beliefs to justify the actions. Selective exposure means individuals tend to avoid information that conflicts with their views. For example, a smoker who knows smoking is harmful might justify it by saying it helps me relax. Focus only on the studies that downplay health risk. Quit smoking to align with their belief in healthy living. Now, practical applications. It explains how advertising and persuasion influence buying decisions. Helps in public relations strategies to shift public attitudes. Limitations. Focuses more on individuals' decisions than group dynamics. Doesn't address external influences like social pressure or peer opinions. So, dear aspirants, today we have explored 4 influential theories: gatekeeping theory, dependency theory, diffusion of innovations, and cognitive dissonance theory, that explains how media shapes our perceptions, choices, and social behavior. In the next session, we will dig deeper into more advanced models and theories of the communication. Keep learning, and I will see you in the next lecture.